It's Rick's Horror Review Show. I'm Billy Day. And tonight, we're exploring the movie Presence. Not that Presence. Presence. A movie that says, what if ghosts had more questions than answers? Why am I here? And also, why can't I leave? And now, here it's your host, lover of horror and sci-fi, hater of slots with the 700 demonologist himself, it's Rick! Welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show tonight. If you're new here, welcome. As usual, you can find me on the YouTubes, on the Spotify, and the Instagram. But you know there's a place that you'll never find me. Definitely TikTok. But you'll never find me on the Facebooks because that's for the old. Yeah. Macho Man Ronnie Savage joining us tonight. And tonight, we've got a special show because tonight we're diving into a movie by the name of The Presence, a truly unique twist on the haunted house genre. Instead of watching terrified people run from a ghost, you are the... Well, actually, before I go on, allow me to... I think I already said before I go on. Yeah, you keep saying before I go on, so just go on. Oh. This is going to be a spoiler episode. If you haven't seen the movie just came out on Friday. If you have not seen this movie, probably do not listen to this, and that's actually gonna cut about 3/4 of the audience, and the audience was already, well, let's not call that, but no, spoiler full review of this movie, okay? And so let me tell you about this. It's a haunting house, or rather, it's this presence, like I said, spoiler full, that is haunting a house, and it isn't nearly as fun as horror movies make it out to be. It's lonely, it's confusing, and nobody listens to you. So. This film is, a blend of psychological horror and existential drama. And look, this film is packed full of charcoal stuff. What? Nothing. Let us go on. Now, it's time for 4 Fun Film Facts with Billy the AI. Billy? Already? Ron? They're doing this live. All right. Howdy, folks. I'm Billy the AI, and it's time for another exciting episode 4 from Film Packs with Billy the AI. I'm Billy the AI, and in this segment, we're gonna make learning about movies just as fun as watching them. Why are you adding all this? Oh, I thought I'd just change it up with the 4 Fun Film Facts. Believe me, whatever it was that you're doing before is probably just about the only thing that's working. So just keep going. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Here's fun fact number 1. The Presence was filmed almost entirely in a single location. A sprawling historic mansion that actually rumored to already have a resident ghost. Can you imagine trying to explain to the real ghost that he's not part of the union? Oh man, can you? Anyway. Oh. Is this supposed to laugh? Hi man. You don't have to be rude. Alright, yeah, go on. Number 2. Yeah. Here's fun fact number 2. The filmmakers use long, uninterrupted tracking shots to create the sense that the audience is floating through the house. This technique, really makes you feel like you're in a very, very slow, spooky game of hide and seek. Okay, here's fun fact number 3. The movie was made on a shoestring budget, but really managed to deliver stunning visuals. How, you may be asking yourself? How? Well, let me tell you. The crew used natural light and practical effects to achieve the hauntingly beautiful aesthetic. You know, it's a good film when the cinematography alone could win an award and probably save a few bucks on the electricity bill. Am I right? Oh, God. Comedian now? No, are you? Maybe. Okay. You keep telling yourself that. And lastly, here's the fun one. The script had almost no dialogue for the first act. Instead, it relied on visual storytelling to set the mood. That's bold filmmaking. Yeah, it's like turning into a college paper with no letters and graphics to do all the talking, and somehow it works. Anyway, this has been 4 Fun Film Facts with Billy Day. Yeah, and now back to you, Rick. Very good. Let us continue. Okay. So what kind of horror film is The Presence? I'm sorry. That's just Presence. I know, I was just gonna Jesus, I was gonna correct myself. Give me a second here. Presence is what you'd get if you took a haunted house movie, flipped it upside down, and asked the ghost what their deal was. What's your deal, Mr. Ghost? Oh my God, are you gonna start doing William Shatner now? Maybe. It's not about the people in the house, it's about the presence itself. By the way, spoiler full, if I haven't said that already. It's about the presence that itself is trapped in a space that holds as many questions for the audience as it does for the entity that's haunting. The film doesn't rely on the usual haunted house tricks. No floating furniture, no ghostly screams, no sinister attic. Instead, it's an introspective exploration of identity and purpose, seen through the eyes or perhaps the essence of the ghost. What makes this film even more fascinating is that the presence doesn't even call it a ghost. It's referred to as a presence, which I think strips away the baggage of traditional ghost stories right from the beginning and really replaces it with ambiguity. The presence itself isn't malevolent or vengeful, it's simply there, trying to understand its own existence or lack thereof. It's haunting, but not in the way that we're used to. Instead of tormenting others, it's trapped in sort of its own purgatory. And the house becomes a stage for its introspection. And here's where Steven Soderbergh's touch really comes in. This isn't just horror, it's actually a drama with deeply unsettling undertones. The film lies heavily and leans heavily onto atmosphere, silence, isolation to really build that tension. The house itself, again, beautiful, with its quiet corners and unspoken history, becomes a character in its own right, a space that reflects the presence, own confusion, and loneliness. So what kind of horror film this is? Is this? What kind of can speak English? I think it's a quiet, thoughtful piece that doesn't shout out, doesn't try to scare you, but rather whispers you until you feel the weight of its message. It's a first-person ghost story, a haunted house drama, and an exploration of existence all rolled into a single film. Presence is less about terror and more about introspection, but trust me, I think it'll leave a mark. Is Presence scary? No, it just isn't. At least not in the traditional sense, and I don't think it was trying to be, and that's the point. The entity, the presence itself, was never meant to terrify. Again, this isn't a film about jump scares or malevolent spirits. It's about curiosity, sadness, and again, that quiet mystery of existing. What sets the film apart is how it reframes the idea of haunting, right? What we're all expecting. The presence isn't lurking in the shadows, trying to frighten anyone. In fact, most of the characters don't see it or don't even see it as a threat. Now, there is a very important moment in the film where the daughter remarks something along the lines of, "Isn't this the most exciting thing that's ever happened to you in your boring life?" And I think that line really says it all. For the characters in the movie, this family, the presence isn't something to fear, at least not in the conventional fearing kind of way. It's something extraordinary. It's almost fascinating, really. And really, when you think about it, wouldn't you feel the same way if you encountered something like this? It's not about being afraid, it's about grappling with the unknown and the unexpected. If anything, the film leans more towards being more somber than scary. The presence itself is lost. You feel for it. It's aimless, trying to understand its purpose. We are trying to understand our purpose. And that makes it more tragic than terrifying. It's a haunting, sure, but not in the way that we typically think of. Instead of scaring you, it's making you feel for the entity. It's a haunting of questions, of sadness, and of the unknown. A unique angle that makes the film quietly unsettling, but never outright scary. And now the tools of terror. Let's break down these tropes and how the film uses them in a way that feels fresh, inventive, and downright clever. From jump scares to haunted histories, this film takes what we expect from horror and really twists it enough to make it feel new. And that's really good. First, of course, the jump scare. Now, this trope can feel tired in most films. I certainly, it used to be a category here. By the way, Tools of Terror is replacing the jump scare because of sort of this jump scare-o-meter where it's just so overused. But I digress. The Presence flips the script in a way that is both comical and unsettling in terms of the jump scare. Instead of the entity being the source of the jump scare or the source of the terror, the jump scares are performed by the humans. From the entity's perspective, we see people scaring each other. And frankly, it's sort of funny. The result is a reversal of the expectation that reminds us how much horror depends on, perspective. Next, there's the haunted house trope, right? Yes, the house absolutely has a history, but here is the twist. We never really learn it. Throughout the film, we're left to speculate about why the entity is tied to this location. Nothing had ever been reported. What happened in this house? Why is the entity here? And I think this lack of answers creates an intriguing sense of mystery, making the house feel like a traditional haunted mansion, or rather less like a traditional haunted mansion, and more like a stage for unresolved questions. Another interesting thing about this particular trope, the haunted house trope, is that we don't get a trope that was always tied to a story like this. It's like some character comes in the second or third act, and suddenly they know the history of the house, and they know exactly how to exercise whatever demon or entity, whatever the fuck's happening here, buddy, comes in and just gives the characters enough information to get rid of this shit. Well, that doesn't happen here, and that's good. I like that. Okay, now the final girl trope. This, however, isn't your typical resourceful survivor scenario. The daughter in the film's focus becomes the final girl not because of her own actions, but rather because of her brother's heroic sacrifice. Dealing with the grief over losing her friends, losing folks around her to drug overdoses, she's deeply flawed and a vulnerable character. And her survival isn't about outsmarting the threat. It's about being saved by someone else's growth. The brother's arc is the interesting here. Moving from selfishness to selflessness is beautifully highlighted in one poignant line that goes around something like this. The dad's talking to the son, the brother, and says, somewhere in there's an amazing man waiting to come out. And I can't wait to see that man. And, by the end of the movie, his sacrifice allows his sister to live, making this, fresh and an emotional take on the trope. Yes, she's the final girl in the essence of the word. She's the focus of the horror film. But it's the hero sacrifice the brother that really makes that happen. Okay, and probably... I didn't skip. Wait, no, I was in the right. Whoops. Tools of Terror. I don't even know my own segment anymore. I think finally the most significant theme of this film is that humans are the real monsters. The Presence, again, as I mentioned already, is not the antagonist here. As a matter of fact, it is a witness and at times an active, not just a passive participant, trying to prevent human atrocities. And I think this flips the haunted house narrative on its head. The entity is not the threat. It's the humans themselves who inflict the most harm. The shift in focus turns the film into a reflection on humanity's capacity for cruelty and the small, powerful moments of redemption that can counter it. In The Presence, the tools of terror are not just used. They're re-engineered. They challenge our assumptions about horror. It's smart, it's layered, and thought-provoking in ways that make each trope really feel earned and revitalized. And now it's time for the things I like. Billy? Let's see. Okay, here we go. And rolling. We were already rolling. Oh, cut! You can't. We're recording. Howdy, y'all. Before Rick tells you about the presents, let me ask you: are you a ghost tired of haunting the same boring house? Do you want to drift from mansion to mansion without worrying about ectoplasmic liability or your local Ghostbusters? Then you need translucent troubles insurance. We cover unexpected exorcisms, accidental mirror shitterings, and even poltergeist-related damages. Whether you're spooking or just floating through, we've got you covered. Translucent troubles, because even the afterlife needs a peace of mind. Thank you. Oh yeah, good with the sponsors. Quite good. Thanks. Welcome. So what did I like about the presents? Well, let's start with the story. It's genuinely fascinating. The twist on a haunted house genre, as I mentioned already, telling the story from the perspective of the presents rather than the people in the house, is a fresh take. It's rare to see a ghost story unfold in first person, and it's done in a way that feels introspective and unsettling. You're not just watching the haunting, you're experiencing it, and that shift in perspective really adds layer to the narrative. The cinematography also deserves praise too, because of the way the film uses long, uninterrupted shots to mimic the person's experience inside the house. And this is incredibly immersive. It reminds me of tracking shots in Birdman. But here, it's not the camera following the characters. It's the presence itself. The fluidity of the shots combined with the interruptions of blackouts makes you feel like you're gliding through the house, trapped and tethered just like the present. The house itself becomes a character, of course, with its beautiful architecture and lighting, creating an atmosphere that is both serene and eerie. And of course, everybody's performance is absolutely fantastic. The actors bring quite the vulnerability to the roles, making you feel for the characters, even if they navigate the mystery of the house. The set design, lighting, it's working hand in hand to enhance the film's tone, creating a visual experience that's, I think, hauntingly beautiful is the best way that I can describe. However, what I love the most about Presence is it really learns into its unique perspective. Unlike something like In a Violent Nature, which we saw I did not like, where the perspective felt like you're grinding through an RPG with endless backtracking, even an MMORPG where you're like traveling vast distances on foot because you don't have a mount yet. Like, that's why would I want to watch that? And that's how I felt when I was watching In a Violent Nature. Because of these, the giant distances. Like, Jesus, give me some, fast travel or something. But this film, you're not traveling vast distances. You're confined to the beautiful Victorian home. And confinement works to the advantage of this film. I think it's a bold, fresh take on the haunted house story, and it really nails it, and it's clever, it's different, and I think it's the kind of film that reminds you why experimenting with perspective can be so powerful. And now, here are the things I didn't like. Billy? Are we rolling? We're rolling. Howdy again. Billy the AI here to tell y'all about Dead End Dialogue counseling services. Do you find yourself stuck in endless internal monologues with no resolution? Are you plagued by a sense of purpose you can't quite put a finger on? We specialize in helping restless spirits work through their specter baggage and finally cross over. No Ouija board required, guaranteed. Dead End Dialogues, because haunting is here when you're at peace with yourself. And now back to you, Rick. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good sponsor. That's right. I think I'm gonna give them a call. Okay. Not a specter, but sure. Let's talk about what didn't quite work. I'm not gonna speak English. Let's talk about what didn't quite work for me in Presence. First of all, the pacing, specifically in the second act. The film really takes time, and it really takes time in building the world out and fleshing out these characters, which is obviously admirable, but it starts to feel like it's dragging. There's a fine line between letting a story breathe and let it meander, and for me, this one really leaned in a little too far on the ladder. Now, I appreciate the effort to create a fully realized world. I found myself glancing at the clock and wishing I'd just pick up the pace! Pick up the pace, damn it! I got shit to do. Then there's the ending, and here's the thing. It's absolutely perfect. It's the right ending for the story, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Damn it, I hate those endings. It's one of those rare cases when, I can acknowledge that the filmmakers absolutely nailed the conclusion, but not in the way that I enjoyed. It's sad, it's heavy, and leaves you sitting there processing long after the credits roll. Sometimes the perfect ending isn't the one you want, but it's the one you need. And well, I need a drink after this one. Lastly, the film really leans a little too heavily in the dramatic elements for my taste. Particularly in the second act. Now, I understand that it's all in service of building tension and that, but it occasionally felt like a bit overwrought for my taste. It's like the movie was so focused on being profound that it forgot to, trim the fat. That said, these are minor critiques. I know I got a little... take a step back here and breathe. These are minor critiques in the grand scheme of things. The presence, not the present. Presence is a thoughtful, ambitious film, and while it's not flawless, I think it's still a standout in its genre. Sometimes even the things you don't like are what makes a movie stick with you. And this one definitely does. Did I fall asleep watching Presence? No, not even close. And even during that super slow or, dialogue heavy second act where the pacing feels like it's dragging, I was fully engaged. Why? Yeah, because the dialogue were a little too much dramatic, a little too dramatic for my taste. Serves a clear purpose. Feels stepped in the characters and the story. Sure, it's a bit heavy at times, but it's not without intention. That's the only thing that I forgive it. I forgive it because you're right. You're right. I hate it, but you're right. Now, the dramatic tension keeps you tethered to the narrative instead of feeling like filler, which could have, really made you get bonkers. The dialogue feels like groundwork for the emotional stakes of the third act. And while the pacing might test your patience, it never really feels aimless or unnecessary. The film kept me questioning and analyzing it throughout its entirety. It's the kind of story that rewards your attention, even, in its quieter moments. And let's be honest, if a movie can hold my focus to the most drawn out parts, that's saying something. No snoozing here, just some intense, thoughtful viewing. Uh-oh, I was using the wrong card. Huh. Okay. Wait, what? Did I fall asleep? Oh, I don't know what happened. Maybe I don't rig and click too fast. Anyways, if you're just listening and not watching, I'm fiddling with the cards on the screen. The people who are watching on the television, they can see on the old tool, they can see. Anyway, does this movie pass the R.I.C test? Is this movie rational, intelligent, and coherent? Yes, and it does so with precision and thoughtfulness. In terms of rationality, this movie is entirely rational within its framework, this framework that it itself establishes. If you're willing to suspend disbelief and accept a supernatural presence, that's we most 100% are if you're going to watch a movie. Presence maintains its internal consistency, which is the most important of. It doesn't break its own logic or introduce anything absurd to resolve the plot. Every action, every event, it's grounded in reality that the film presents, making it plausible, even in its own exploration of the paranormal. The film is also intelligent. It's intelligent in how it handles the story and the characters. It respects the audience's intelligence, offering a narrative that doesn't rely on tired cliches or contrived twists. The film trusts its viewers to engage with its themes without spelling anything out, creating a sense of intrigue and depth. The characters behave in believable ways, and the film avoids any moments that would feel, condescending or overly simplistic. And of course, the film is also coherent. The storytelling is seamless and it's easy to follow with a linear structure that keeps the narrative grounded. When a movie needs to reveal backstory or context, it does so through dialogue or visual cues that simply they feel organic. There are no unnecessary detours or confusing jumps. Everything is purposeful, and every scene builds towards the larger narrative. In conclusion, Presence doesn't just pass the R.I.C test, it does so with confidence. This is a movie that knows its rules, respects its audiences, and delivers a story that is both rational and emotionally resonant. It's the kind of film that lingers not because it's trying to shock you, but because it's crafted with care and precision. And now, a rating. I'm giving The Presence an undeniable 10 out of 10. And honestly, I can't imagine giving it anything else. The movie is everything I love about filmmaking. It's bold, it's different, and it dares to take the risk in a genre that often feel like it's stuck in neutral. If you've been a fan of the show, you know how much I appreciate creativity. Even if someone misses the mark sometimes, I always give credit to filmmakers who try something new. But here, they nailed it. Billy? I'm gonna get this movie 10 out of 10 because you're human. Sometimes are capable of creating some amazing stuff. Case in point, here I am, building AI. Also, because I kind of emphasize with the bodiless entity, I kind of get it, you know. You're just floating around in space, or happy space, or normal space, or the space between, and all that stuff. 10 out of 10, right here. Bill is rated B, our movie review show. Well done, Billy. Well done. Well, I do done reckon that is gonna be it for yet another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Review Show. The Presence will enhance your thoughts and leave you wondering what it's like to be a ghost. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode. If you think there's absolutely somebody out there, anybody, that would enjoy even just this tiny sliver of this show here, let them know to find us at Rick's Horror on all the social media platforms except the Facebook and maybe even the Instagram soon, because no fact checking, what the fuck? Thank you again for being here, and thank you for listening or watching, or maybe doing both if you're that kind of person. We'll watch you, we'll catch you again next time on another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. And until then, see what happens. Oh. No, I thought it was over. You spoke too fast.